Hey coin collectors, and welcome to another joint video between the Big D coin channel and the DC Coin World coin channel. This is DC from DC Coin World, and we're looking at the 1943 United States 1 cent coin, and the coin that supposedly has a $1 million version. And I want to tell you right up front that there is no $1 million version of the 1943 1 cent coin, but there is a version that sold in 2016 for $305,000. So that's pretty good, a third of $1 million version. And it is a beautiful coin, except there are not many of them. So let's talk a little bit about this. In 1942, the United States, of course, still made coins during World War II, but they were running out of copper. And so this is the 1942 Lincoln penny right here. And it's not the Lincoln Memorial penny, of course, it's the Lincoln wheat penny. It says, "In God we trust" at the top, "Liberty behind Lincoln, 1942 under his chin." In the 1942 version, they made 208 million at Denver. They made 86 million at San Francisco, and they made 657, almost 658 million at Philadelphia of these ones here. They knew that they were going to switch to steel, and they just used up all the planchets that they had, the copper planchets, or almost all of them, and that's where the mystery of the $1 million coin comes from. So here we have it. It says E pluribus unum at the top, 1 cent in the center, United States of America here, wheat ears on each side. And by wheat ears, it's just these wheat, the way wheat grows, at the very top you get where the seeds are and stuff. The actual part that you eat or make flour out of is in these pods up here at the top. And so they call these wheat ears. So this is a 1942 wheat ears 1 cent coin. Well, because they needed copper for ammunitions, they decided in 1943 to go with steel cents. And here's 2 steel cents. And I just love that. I just got lucky, I guess. But I have a San Francisco and a Denver mint of the steel sets. And by steel, what do I mean? Well, what I mean is they didn't use copper in them. So if we take my London City bus magnet, we see that these are magnetic, and that's really cool. So you actually have steel cents made of steel. They're magnetic, and that's how you can tell. But you can also tell by the color, can't you? Geez, it just, the difference between the color of these two is just amazing, and it just isn't a way to, if you see them anywhere next to each other, you'll know that they're not the same as each other. Well, how many of the steel cents did they make? Well, in 1943 at Denver Mint, they made 217.6 million of them, and at the Philadelphia Mint, they made 685 million. And at the San Francisco Mint here, they made 191.5 million. So between the two of them, about 1.1 billion steel cents came out. Are they valuable? In this kind of condition, they're really not. They're worth 25 to 50 cents. I'd pay $1 for one just because I want to get one. But in uncirculated conditions, the S goes for somewhere around $4 to $5. The D goes for somewhere around, I don't know, $3 plus. And the Philadelphia Mint one, or the no letter, which was the Philadelphia Mint, goes for about $3. So they're not really expensive coins. So where does the $1 million come from? Well, here's the story. In when they made these copper coins in 1942, what they do is they have this little, essentially a plate of copper, and they punch the coins into it. And so when they had these planchets from 1942, apparently a few of them were left over, and they punched the 1943 into it. And so there are some copper or bronze, they're 95% copper, 5% tin or zinc coins that are out there. And we know that there are I don't know. There's over 20 of them of the Philadelphia version. There's two known Denver versions. Two of these are in copper, and um, five known San Francisco versions in copper. And they generally sell between 30 and 90,000, but there was one, as I said, sold for 305,000 and 206 in 2016, and that was from the Simpson collection, the former owner of the Houston, Texas baseball club, at a heritage auction. An AU almost uncirculated 58, I'm sorry, PCGS, sold for $305,500 in 2016. So there isn't a $1 million one, but there is a certainly one that's worth hundreds of thousands. And you'd have to get it in really good shape, way better than this. And then, of course, in 1944, they went back to the copper again. And here's the trick, though. The 1944, when they went back to the copper, they actually made a 1944 in zinc. So in other words, there's a 1944 that's zinc-coated steel, I'm sorry. This is zinc-coated steel, and that's what I should have said at the beginning. It's steel, but there's a zinc coating on it. In 1944, they made one of these with a zinc coating on the steel, and it was, that's again going to be incredibly expensive. It's called the Transitional Error. We know that there was 28 of the Phillies, 7 of the Denvers, and 2 of the S Mint or San Francisco Mint coins that were done in a zinc-plated steel. How can you tell? Well, we have a bunch of them here. I'll just move these out of the way and show you. These are all the 44s. Bunch of Phillies. I think we have a Denver in here too, and a San Francisco. And you just take your magnet. First off, you can tell just by looking at them. You take your magnet and run over these, and you get nothing from them, because if you couldn't tell by the color alone, which you should be able to tell because the difference in colors, you can tell by the magnet alone. And if you have a 1944 that is of zinc-plated steel, then it'll come up with a magnet. If you have a 1943 that is of the copper or bronze, it will not come up with magnets. So whenever you get the 1943s, run the magnet over them, and if it doesn't come up, maybe, and you obviously look at the color, then you may have one. And if whenever you get the 1944s, run the magnet over them. If it comes up with the magnet, then you know that it's a zinc-plated steel. Now, should you buy one? Well, I want you to be very, very careful. So what they do sometimes is they take this 1945 and sometimes even the 1946, and they change it or try to push it to make it into a 3. So you get some of these that are counterfeit or fake editions of the 1943s, where they've taken the 45s. And why don't they do it with the 44s? Well, it's because if you look at the 4 and the 3, it's hard to get that. But because you have this rounded area down here. So what's the difference in the 3s, though? Notice how this 3 goes way, way down under on the 1943. If they make a counterfeit one, the 3 will be at the same level as the 4. If they make a, if they have a real one that's copper or bronze, the 3 will be way down underneath the 4. All right, so no $1 million coins, some $300,000 coins, a bunch between 30 and 50 and 90,000. And we know right now of about 27 to 29 known varieties. All right, have a great day from DC Coin World, International Coin Channel, and from Big D Coins. And thanks for watching. We'd love to have you subscribe to our channels and leave any comments you might have in the comments section.